Hi, my name's Eric, welcome back to my channel and to my new ergonomic setup. I usually film my videos on my bed, which is right here, but I just got this new desk, so I think I might start alternating where I film my videos, but we'll just see what happens. So 2020 has been a year, and a lot has been changing for the worse, but also for the better, but one thing's for sure, there has been a lot of great music released this year. So much music, in fact, that I haven't been able to talk about all of it. So in this video, I'm going to run chronologically through the first half of 2020 and talk about 10 fantastic albums that I didn't have a chance to talk about yet, some of which you requested. Of course, this list won't be comprehensive, so please add your own favorites in the comments down below, and I won't be talking about any albums that I've already reacted to or talked about otherwise on this channel, so if you're looking for my thoughts on any of these albums that are now appearing on your screen, go check out my other videos. I also want to clarify that just because I talk about an album in this video doesn't mean it'll end up on my year-end best of 2020 list, and just because I don't, doesn't mean it won't. There's plenty more great music that came out this year, but I want to save some surprises for my year-end list. Before I dive in, check the description box for a link to a list of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. Without further ado, let's start in January, a time that feels like another year entirely, with the release of Silver Tongue by Torres. Torres has been well known in the indie rock world since the early 2010s, but this is easily my favorite album of hers so far. It's romantic but heartbroken, and towering but intimate, and Mackenzie Scott's distinctive contralto voice is striking and expressive. She keeps things concise at 9 tracks, and the album is paced really well, which makes it very re-listenable. Highly recommended. I have a new favorite song every week, but I think A Few Blue Flowers is the track that I return to the most, so definitely check that one out. In late February, Christine and the Queens released La Vida Nova, which, yes, is an EP, but I bring it up because it's easily one of the best EPs I've listened to in recent memory. I'd honestly put it up there with EPs like Melissa and Paradise. And I love the EP on its own, but the visuals, the full 5-track music video is just enchantingly gorgeous. And it features an appearance by Caroline Polachek, who shows up to duet and dance with Chris, who plays like a vampire character. It's just so good. The first track on the EP, People I've Been Sad, is one of my absolute favorite songs of the year so far, and the EP offers a nice balance of upbeat, 80s inspired tracks and more introspective moments. All in all, La Vida Nova is a short but essential listen. Jumping forward to May, we got Perfume Genius's new album, Set My Heart on Fire Immediately. I was surprised to see that this album has the exact same number of tracks as No Shape, but I think that's because this album contains some of the longest songs in Mike's career, and that makes the scope of this album feel even more expansive, like an old Hollywood epic. There's a nice variety of approaches here between the pop rock sound of Nothing at All and the funk influences of On the Floor, which is another of the best songs of the year and an absolute certified grade A official banger. The production by Blake Mills is odd and distinctive, but has this undercurrent of beautiful classic cinema orchestrations. If you liked Angel Olsen's album All Mirrors from last year, I think there are definitely some moments on this album that live in that same world. I love all of Mike's albums, and this one is no exception. He just gets better and better. I actually googled to see if perfumes age like a fine wine, but perfumes have an expiration date, so not really an apt comparison. 2 weeks later, we had one of the biggest musical events of the year with the release of Lady Gaga's much anticipated Chromatica. This album is a lot of fun and serves as a strong counterpoint to the A Star Is Born soundtrack. Because there, she was taking more of a classic singer-songwriter soft rock approach, but here she dials the energy and the Eurodance up to 11 and serves hook after hook after hook. I think some fans, myself included, were hoping to hear her Sophie collaborations and that she would take a more forward-thinking weird approach to pop. But I think what she's proven between A Star Is Born and Chromatica is that she can deliver crowd pleasers in both of these dimensions of her personality. In interviews, I think she's expressed interest in stripping back some of the more aggressive and controversial theatrics that brought her attention 10 years ago, and I think Chromatica is her finding a comfortable, non-confrontational space for her aesthetic and for her imagination. And I hope that we get more music videos soon because I would love to see more of the world of Chromatica. Just a few days later, and with a pretty similar color scheme, Run the Jewels released Run the Jewels 4 to immediate acclaim. This probably is the best received rap album of the year so far, and for good reason. It's almost eerie how timely these songs are, considering that Run the Jewels presumably had been writing them for months or longer before the album was released. But that demonstrates not only their keen observational eye, but also that these issues that they're talking about now and that they have have been talking about for years are part of a much longer and broader story of injustice. I imagine that if there's any album on this list that not only is a perfect encapsulation of this moment politically in 2020, but also will remain relevant for years to come, it's this one. Later in June, crying hours arrived when Phoebe Bridgers released her sophomore album, Punisher. Lyrically alone, this album is excellent and rich in imagery, ideas, and emotion. We have songs that hew closer to her work on Stranger in the Alps like Garden Song, and new, more boisterous sounds on songs like Kyoto and I Know the End. The title track is a direct tribute to her inspiration, Elliott Smith, and the absolutely incredible Chinese Satellite is a story about how loving someone can cause you to start to see life through their eyes. This is an album about growing up and developing and challenging your own worldview, and it complements the relative sullenness and morbidity of her debut with more effusive and celebratory expressions of fear and longing. This is an absolute must-listen. These next 3 albums all came out on the same day, June 26th. First is What's Your Pleasure by Jessie Ware. A lot of people have been trying really hard to classify this album. I've heard the terms sophistopop and new disco floating around, but what these descriptions are getting at is that this is an elegant, indulgent, mature, nostalgic pop album with references to Nile Rodgers, Chic, and Minnie Riperton, among other artists. The whole album is great, but the 5-song run that opens the album is alone some of the catchiest, most euphoric music in recent memory. I wish I could have caught my first reaction to Soul Control, because when that chorus hit, I was blown away. And the music videos are great too. Jessie has assembled a troupe of incredibly talented dancers, and I don't know if these videos were planned this way or if they're a product of social distancing, but she's released a handful of videos of just one dancer alone interpreting these songs, and they're awesome. Because this album has been engineered for optimal dance potential, and it's magic. The second album from this absolutely stacked release day was Kick 1 by Arca. While there are moments here that recall the operatic drama of her self-titled album, Arca and a cavalcade of experimental pop luminaries take this album in some equally challenging and catchy directions. These are basically the features of an Arca fan's dreams. We get appearances by Sophie, Shy Girl, Rosalia, and Björk in the chaotic middle stretch of this album that takes genres like reggaeton and glitch hop and ups the glitchiness. What I love about this album is that Arca shows even more of her sharp and witty personality on songs like Mequetrefe, while also preserving the gorgeousness of her self-titled album on songs like Afterwards, where Björk sings in Spanish, which I was not expecting at all, but I love. Definitely check this one out. And third, from June 26th, was Heim's Women in Music Part 3. The Heim sisters did what they needed to do on this album. They stuck with their signature soft rock and expanded their palette of colors and sounds beautifully. This is a longer album, especially if you include the 3 bonus tracks that were released far ahead of the album, but the effect of that is like a long conversation. I gained insight into different dimensions of the Heim voice and perspective through a nice variety of sounds and approaches, as well as lyrics that are as often confessional and vulnerable as they are sarcastic and funny. It's hard to choose just one particular highlight. I know a lot of people say that the bonus tracks are their favorites, but it's really worth listening to the whole album because it feels so lived in and warm. Finally, this month we got 1000 Gex and the Tree of Clues by 100 Gex. I genuinely can't think of another remix album that I've loved as much as this one. Tree of Clues takes all of the energetic and indulgent weirdness of 1000 Gex and cranks it up to the maximum. The massive list of featured artists adds a lot of color and fun, and I mean, this guest list is huge and sometimes surprising. Just off the top of my head, as an idea, we got Charlie XCX, Rico Nasty, Caro Caro Bonito, Dorian Electra, GFOTY, Fall Out Boy, Nicole Dollanganger, Injury Reserve, Black Dresses, Hannah Diamond, Tommy Cash, A.G. Cook, Danielle Harrell. I could go on. And this massive variety of artists with very different, distinctive styles makes it so hard to choose a favorite track. The vocal trance style of I Would Never Stop You and the metal influences of Hand Crushed by a Mallet make the already pretty odd and really fun ringtone remix sound chill by comparison. Tree of Clues scratches some serious musical itches, and I cannot stop listening to it. So that's my list. Again, there was plenty more amazing music released this year, so let me know in the comments down below what music you've loved in 2020. Check the description box for that link to a list of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and until next time, that's it.